And if you clicked on this video and you decided to watch it, I do not take it lightly. I'm so glad you're here. Um, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I am a breast cancer survivor. So I wanted to share my story about how I found out I had breast cancer when I was only 30 years old. Yes, 30 years old. Crazy. Okay, so before I get started, I will say I recorded this video before, like a whole I'm gonna do this in part one and part two. I did record a whole video before about how I found out I got diagnosed, and for different reasons I deleted. Okay, so when I was a little girl, like 5, 6 years or yeah, like 5 or 6 years old, I used to spend the night at my aunt's house and my godmom's house all the time. Both of them had those cards in their shower. I'm sure you've seen them before, the little card that tells you how to check your breast and you hang it over the shower head. Both of them had those cards in their showers. And I would always stand in the showers and check my breast. I didn't know what I was checking for, but I was just doing what the card told me to do. Don't know why. But anyway, I would say that was like my earliest education when it came to breast cancer. If you want to call it education. I don't know if I would call it education because again, I really didn't know what I was doing aside from what the card was what was illustrated on the card. Okay. So fast forward to um when I was in high school. No, I'm sorry, when I was in college. I was in my sophomore year, and I met this lady named Mama Steph. Mama Steph was a college student. She lived on campus with us. She was she lived in the freshman dorm, and she was cool. She was older than us. I don't know how old she was, but I know she was like well, not way. I know she was older than us. And somehow I heard this story that when Mama Steph graduated high school, she found out she had breast cancer and, had to do treatment and stuff like that. And so she had to put off going to college. And so now here she was later in life coming to college, getting the full college experience because she was determined to not let breast cancer take that away from her. Right. So now here she is living out her dreams. And I was floored. Like, what do you mean she had breast cancer at 18? Like, who get breast cancer at 18 years old? I'm like, you don't get that until you 40, 50. Not, I mean, I know that you can, you have like those rare occurrences or whatever, but I just was like, how? That's crazy. So that prompted me to start checking my breast. And like, I immediately just kind of remembered what those cards told me to do when I was a little girl. Now, I can't say that I was checking my breasts every month at that age, but I did start and I would check like every couple months or something like that. Okay. So when as I got older, graduated college or whatever, I started being more consistent with checking my breasts. So like in my 20s, it's something that I was doing regularly. Now, uh getting into how I found out that I had breast cancer. When it was the day after Christmas in 2020. And I was about to get in the shower. So we talking December 26, 2020. I'm sorry, no. 2019, December 26, 2019. I was about to get in the shower and I took my clothes off. And when I took my clothes off, I was like, oh my God, it's cold in here. And I did like that. And my thumb hit what felt like a lump. So I'm like, thinking I'm tripping, right? So when I get in the shower, I'm checking because I'm like that. Yeah, nah, like nah, that ain't what I thought it was. Now I just want to back up for a minute. Again, this is December 26th. I'm going to back up to early November. I did my monthly breast exam. Nothing felt strange, out of the ordinary, or nothing like that. Fast forward to early December. I went to my annual OBGYN appointment, and as a part of my annual exam, like he would always check my breast. He didn't say nothing fell off. So, I'm good. So why on December 26th, just a few weeks later, am I feeling this lump? So I get in the shower. Again, I check. At this point, I don't feel nothing. So I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. but I couldn't stop thinking about it. So the next night when I got in the shower, I checked again, and sure enough, I felt the lump. So I'm like, yeah, yeah, it's there for real. So I don't know what it is. We're gonna find out though. So the next day, I go to my friend's house. Me and some of my girls, we had like a little um, what were we doing? We call it reflections, where you just kind of like reflecting on the year, talking about what you want in the new year, yada yada yada. And so I'm making them feel this lump because I'm like, y'all feel this. Let me know. And they feeling it or whatever. And one of my friends, she was like, yeah, I feel it, but it's probably just a cyst. And I think she was saying she has like really dense breasts and she had cysts before. So I'm like, all right, but I'm still, this is on a Sunday. At this point, I want to say, yeah, that was a Sunday. So I'm like, okay, probably just a cyst, maybe. But I'm still going to the doctor because I need to know. We don't run off maybes around here and probablys. So that Monday morning I call my OBGYN's office and I'm like, yeah, I found a lump in my breast. I need to be seen. Child, they gave me an appointment for Friday. Huh? Did you not hear what I said? I found a lump in my breast. I need to be seen. Child, it was an emergency to me. But I waited till Friday. That was a long week. So anyway, Friday comes and I go to my appointment and my doctor wasn't there, but his PA, her name was Rachel, love her. She was like, you don't have a family history, which I'm gonna do like another video probably about like the family dynamics and genetic testing and all that stuff. So anyway, but she said, you don't have a family history of breast cancer. You're only 30 years old. And plus, it's kind of moving around. So she could feel the lump, but she said it was moving around. And she was like, so I'm pretty sure it's just a cyst because cysts tend to move around. But she was like, we're going to send you for a mammogram just to be sure. So I leave out the office and no. Before I left out the office, she was like, do you want to take the order and make the appointment yourself? Or do you want me to make it for you? I was like, I'll take the order because, at the time I was working in for a major healthcare system. And so it's not like I was looking at one place. Like whoever got availability, whoever in this system has availability, that's where I'm going. I don't care if it's close to my house, 30 minutes from my house. At the time I worked like 30 minutes from my house anyway. So I had options. And what I didn't want to happen was for that order to sit on her desk all day. Because to me, it was urgent. Not to say that she wouldn't have followed through, but it was just urgent to me. So I get to my car, I call, I find, I find availability, and I want to say the place that I went to get my mammogram was in the hospital that I worked at. Yeah, yeah. It was. Okay, so that's on a Friday that I have my appointment. That Monday, so I was able to get an appointment kind of right away. Thank God. So Monday, I go for my mammogram. Now, they do the mammogram, and then the tech, I think is what she called. She leaves out. She comes back, and she was like, the radiologist wants to do an ultrasound just to get like, a closer look or get some better images. So at this point, I'm like, not thinking that it's breast cancer, but I'm still just kind of like, what you need better images for? You see what ain't everything was going on the mammogram. Like why we taking a closer look at? What is it looking like? Let me see the picture. Let me see what you see. That you need to see some better images, right? So we do the ultrasound, and after the ultrasound, she leaves out, and when she comes back, this little short guy is behind her, and I already kind of know what time it is. Again, I'm at this point, I'm not thinking that I have breast cancer, but when I see him walking in behind her, I know that they want to do some kind of further testing, right? So he comes in, and sure enough, he was like, I'm Dr. So and so. I want to send you for a biopsy because what I'm seeing is pretty suspicious for breast cancer. All right, bet. Biopsy is scheduled for the very next day. The next day, I go, I have my biopsy, and this is in the same place. So yeah, actually, yeah, I'm 100% sure now that this is my mammogram was in the hospital where I worked because my biopsy was in the same place, and I remember my biopsy being at the hospital I worked at because I went to work and then after the biopsy, I just went home. See, on a Tuesday, they scheduled my appointment for my results for the following Tuesday. Get the fuck out of here, cause that was a long week, baby. Because if my biopsy's on Tuesday and I'm not about to get the results until the following Tuesday, that's too much time. So, and I even called them at one point. I called the doctor's office because I'm like, typically when you get testing done, if everything is okay, they don't usually, well, in a lot of cases that I've seen, they don't have you come in for the results. They'll call you and say, hey, everything looks good. We'll schedule your follow up or whatever the next steps may be. But they give you the good news over the phone. So at one point, I think it was like maybe that Wednesday or Thursday, I'm like, how come they ain't called me yet to tell me everything is good? So I called them. Did you forget? Did you lose the Rolodex and lose my number? Right. So I called them. I was like, hey, I was just calling to follow up my test results, and to see if I could just go ahead and get it over the phone. And she was like, no, they can't do that or whatever. I gotta come in, blah, 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 blah. At this point, nobody really knows what's going on. My family knows nothing. I only told like a few of my friends, and then like the unit that I worked on at the time, my partner on my unit knew, and then the nurse practitioners knew. Okay, so here comes Tuesday. Now let me back up. Let me back up because I cannot tell this story without talking about my shero, one of my sheroes, Miss Angela. So I did know that I was going to have surgery. That was told to me. Um, I want to say on the day of the ultrasound because they saw that there was a mass there. Now, again, of course, we didn't know if it was benign or malignant, cancerous or non-cancerous or cancerous at the time, but we did know that there was a mass there and they were going to have to remove it. So I'm starting to look for doctors. They did, they had kind of already set me up, but I wanted to do my own research and like find who I wanted to do my stuff still. So, I needed to find a breast surgeon. Now, the breast surgeon they had set me up with, she was really good. They said, I did my research and a lot of what I found confirmed that she was really good, like one of the top in the area. Um, but if I'm being completely honest, like at that time, I was like, I want a black surgeon, like I want a black doctor. Um, so anyway, I started asking around. Again, I at this point, and not a lot of people knew, so I didn't have a lot of people to ask. So I ended up asking one of the nurse practitioners that worked on my unit, who was a black lady. I said, "Hey, this is what's going on. I have to have surgery. Um, do you know of any like black breast surgeons that you could recommend?" She said, "I don't, but talk to." She told me to talk to Angela. So she gives me Angela's first and last name. I'm like, who was that? Mind you, I worked at the time in a big hospital. I used to call it the college campus for adults. So, you know, at this point, I had been there for 5 years, but the hospital is so big that I don't know everybody in the hospital. Like, I'm seeing new people, new employees every day. So I had never seen Angela, never even heard of Angela. Honestly, at the time, I don't even think I heard of the department that, that Angela worked for. But anyway, she gave me her first and last name and said reach out to her. So that same day, I go into the employee little database thing. I find her. I send her email like, hey, I'm so and so. This is what's going on. Do you mind if I come down and talk to you? She said, yes. This is where I work. This is my, where my office is. Come down anytime. So I go to Miss Angela's office and uh, just the peace I felt talking to her was like just so comforting. Miss Angela was, or is because she's still alive, a three-time breast cancer survivor. and she was young. She was so put together. Sis was fly. Okay, she had like short hair. Like she always dressed really nice. Like her like spirit, her energy, how she carried herself. Like she was that girl. Okay, but anyway, and she even prayed with me that day. I forgot about that. I forgot about that because she kind of like gave me the information she had. And by the way, she immediately named this doctor. Um, and the doctor wasn't black, but she was like, "You want the best breast surgeon?" I said, "Yeah." And she gave me her name. She said she's not black, but this is who she is. And Miss Angela was a black lady. I don't know if I said that, but anyway. So I'm like, okay, and I had felt at that point so comfortable with Miss Angela that it was like, okay, you didn't did this 3 times. Like I already, like I've been knowing you 3 minutes, and I love your energy. I love your spirit. So if you trust her, I'm going to trust her too. So yeah, but anyway, we were in her office talking, and she kind of just was telling me like her story, and she was like, she was like, I hope you don't have breast cancer. Like we're gonna pray that everything is okay. Um, she was like, don't stress out, just know that it could go either way. You might have it, but you also might not have it. And then she gave me this folder or like this book, kind of like I think it's called like an accordion. Um, she said, I'm going to give you this. She said, I hope you don't have to use it, but I'm going to give it to you anyway because when you get your results on Tuesday, I want you to be prepared. And the accordion was like specific to cancer. And so it had like different files, different tabs in there to put like all of your stuff. She was like, because if it is cancer, things are going to move really fast and you want to keep up with everything. So that was my visit with Miss Angela. I love that lady. I love her. So, I say she's my shiro not only because of how she made me feel in that moment, but also because of what she offered to do for me. So I'm going to stop here for now. And if you are still interested, if you made it this far, first of all, thank you. If you're still interested, please come back for part 2.